All right, so let me start the timer, and then that way that it tells me that it's time to. Anyway, so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you, and I'm going to have to move around in here because I didn't set it up as a. These are slides, by the way. So at the end of this, once I process all the videos and put them up online, I'll send you a link. You'll have links to the slides. You'll have links to any forms or any documents that I share. And for the hypnosis, you'll also have, oh, Chrissy's here. Yay. Hi,
Oh,
Chrissy.
good. Good morning. I totally forgot about it. I'm
Oh,
so,
it's all right.
I
It is.
literally just woke up right now. And I
I
saw.
am so sorry. You know what? It's my fault because I thought I thought yesterday was Friday, and I
Uh-huh.
thought, well, I'll send the reminder tomorrow, but it was Saturday, and
Oh.
I apologize.
And I'm on the
So,
West Coast, so 7 a.m. Not that it's a problem because I'm a morning person, but I'm so sorry.
no problem. Don't apologize. I apologize too. I'm not as well organized. So anyway, as I was telling Mitzi, the at the end of today, we're going to break every 15 minutes. I have a timer set so that I know to stop the recording and start it again so that it's not a 5 hour video.
Oh, okay.
Okay. And then the recordings will be up on you'll get a link to a website. The recordings will be up on there, as well as any forms that we have or need to go over. You have the books, right? Is that right, Chrissy? I know that
Uh,
Mitzi has them. Do you have the books?
I don't know
Life
if I
with,
have
did you
because
get them?
I won this.
Yeah, so you should have gotten them in your bucket or in your
Oh,
basket.
okay. I
Life
will.
Without Diabetes and Life Without Obesity.
Okay. If it's in the
Okay.
bucket, I'm sure I have it then.
Okay. So you don't need it right now. It's okay.
Okay.
All right. And there will be a little bit of homework, I'm sorry to say, but it's there and we're going to do that. So let me see if I could make this look more like a slideshow while we're sharing it.
Chrissy, I'm pleased that you were with me on this journey here, along with Joseph, our illustrious instructor.
Oh, we
Listen,
were.
yeah,
We're.
we only had, well, there were three, but the third one who won didn't sign up.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and there were nobody bought the training since, but that doesn't, that means I didn't advertise.
And
So
how many people were you expecting today?
well, there are like 15 people who can repeat, so it was possible. They just didn't, they don't have to tell me when they're going to be there. They may pop in at any time.
Oh,
So
I see.
that's the thing, Chrissy. If you, when we're done with this, you can take it every time that we have it if you'd like. Okay. And every
Oh,
time it's a little bit more updated.
mhm.
Okay. So what we're going to start with is where the problem comes from. And just a little bit of introduction. You probably know that I was a type 2 diabetic and I've lost about 100 pounds. This process, the Onesta process, grew out of my experience, the mistakes I've made, and what I've learned from working with other clients now for 5 years. I when I realized that eat less and exercise more is not helpful and it doesn't work. Um, I couldn't do that with my clients anymore. I had been trained in traditional hypnotic weight loss, which is basically eat less, exercise more. To me, quite frankly, unless a person specifically is an overeater, that is, it's unethical, quite frankly. And so most of my clients, the vast majority of them, whether they've come for weight loss or type 2 diabetes, have been under eaters. They may be eating the wrong things, but they're under eaters. They're not generally, particularly the ones who were habitual dieters. I mean, people show me, you'll see later because there are pictures, they show me plates of a half a grapefruit and a scoop of cottage cheese. And I'm looking at this saying, is this your lunch? Or is this a snack? And they'll say to me, it's my lunch. And that's just not nutritionally sound. In fact, I once fired a client. If you don't know who Jason Fung is, he is the father of intermittent fasting, what a lot of people call intermittent fasting. And he's been doing this for years. I had one of his patients on my books, and I fired her because she refused to eat more than 600 calories a day. And I am absolutely certain that Jason Fung did not authorize that. So, when you have to fire a client, you have to fire a client. So, anyway, all right. So the first thing that is that we've been taught to prefer foods that cause pleasure only while eating. So this ties into this, and your clients come with this if they're in we're all in the United States. So if you were in Europe, some of these things might not apply because they seem almost barbaric, but this is what we have been exposed to. We have been trained to eat for pleasure and for convenience, not for health or wellness. They tell us things are healthy, but they're not. So this idea that I have to absolutely thrive, I mean, just the electricity in my mouth because of hyper flavor is a big thing to fight. And you know what? Cuisines all over the world use this. MSG, the people who use MSG, that's a flavor enhancer. So we have enhanced flavors to the point where people are not liking real food. Also, of course, the pace of life has caused us to prefer convenience over real lasting comfort. Not everybody, obviously, but you'd be surprised how many people eat when it's convenient and they eat whatever is at hand. So there are people all over our country who are eating out of the 7-Eleven or driving through, one of a bazillion fast food services, and they're eating that thinking this is the way it goes. And we need to stop that. One of the ways our clients need to change is that they need to see mealtime almost as a sacrosanct commitment to their life. And it's an important thing that they see it that way. Another thing is the health industry is fixated on treating symptoms and not addressing the cause. We learned from the foundation training that the cause of obesity, the epidemic levels of obesity and type 2 diabetes, is the standard American diet, which recommends 60% of our calories come from carbohydrates, grains, and carbohydrates. So the thing is, that's not a healthy diet. And in fact, if I say to you, and you can say this to your clients, there is no biological need for you to consume carbohydrates. None. Everybody can create glucose from protein. Sometimes they do it with their muscles if they're not eating enough protein. Sometimes they do it with the protein that they eat. The people who are on the carnivore diet generally are remaining in ketosis, but that is not necessarily true. And we'll talk about those diets later. But The health industry, that's doctors, nurses, nutritionists, they're all fixated on controlling blood sugar, particularly for diabetics, or controlling weight, blood sugar through medications, weight through depriving diets. Okay, restricted calories. And then finally, the weight loss and fitness industries are dominated by this misinformation, and they make a lot of money off of it. So the gym memberships, for example, make a lot of money over people feeling motivated to go to the gym. They buy this membership, then they don't go. They talk themselves out of it. The weight loss industry just wants to sell you every supplement or every superfood or convince you that this meal plan or that meal plan is going to help you lose weight and now they have them for keto, they have them for low carb. They're really making money out of this, and that's really what they are dominated by. By the way, the fitness industry should know, but they don't admit to it, that exercise doesn't do anything but make you hungry. If you don't exercise on a very regular basis, and I mean every day, your body sees that as an extreme and will compensate for it by making you hungry or slowing down your metabolism. And we don't want either one of those. So in the Onesta process, any questions so far? And if I forget, just interrupt me. Unmute yourself if you need to and say, hey, I'm here. Okay. So there are 3 cardinal goals of the Onesta process. And this is one of the things that we promise our clients. We can say this is what they're going to get. The first thing is a new relationship with food. We have a very unhealthy relationship with food. We think of food as convenience and it's got to be ultra tasty. We need to understand that food, a meal, not only do we enjoy it when we're eating it, it should make us feel good when we're not eating. This is incredibly important because people, they're fixated on food. They're either grazing all the time, almost like they're dosing themselves with M&Ms, and or they're constantly thinking about food. Now, that's not everybody, obviously. We all know people who, like, you have to remind them to eat, but these are rare birds indeed. They also need to learn and experience what real food tastes like. If food comes out of a box, a bag, or a package, and it has a list of ingredients on it that is mostly a chemical experiment, they don't know what real food tastes like. I can share with you that I grew up, my parents always had a garden. There is a very real difference between a tomato you grow in your yard and a tomato you buy in the grocery store, even if you're paying a lot of money for it at Whole Foods. There is just an amazing difference. And we are moving our clients in this new relationship with food away from self-denial to informed decisions. So one of the things that I like to tell my clients is very simply, I will remove no food from the table. They are the ones, based on our coaching, based on our instruction, they are the ones that will remove food from the table, a particular food. Does that mean I could never have pasta again? Absolutely not. It means that you can have pasta, but you'll be aware of it when you do. And so we're not denying them anything. There's no self-denial here. And have I got stories? Because your body will change. This comes up next. Your body, your taste buds will change, your stomach will change, your microbiome will change. Everything changes. And when you think, oh, I'm going to have a treat, and I'm putting air quotes around treat in case people are just listening to this. Well, I'm going to have a treat. It might make you have a little tummy ache. I'll tell you a little story. I was at a conference in Florida, the ICBCH conference when they were still in Florida, and some friends met me in Orlando, and we went out for dinner, and then they wanted to go to some place called Twisty Treat or something, soft serve ice cream. And I don't like to be a killjoy, and I could have a little. Usually, if my partner, my husband, will get an ice cream, I'll have a spoon of it to see what it tastes like. Generally, it's too sweet. My taste buds have changed. And so we're sitting there. I got this little baby cup of vanilla ice cream, and I thought I'm just going to eat a spoon of this, and then I'll just throw it away. I'll tell them I'm finished, because you don't want to be a nudge, like a party. Every party has a pooper. That's why you invited me, party pooper. No. So I I what I ordered this, and we're sitting there, and I looked down at this little bowl, and it was gone. I ate the whole thing. Remember that there was an old commercial. I can't believe I ate the whole thing. I can't. I was like, it was. I did it unconsciously, and I ate the whole thing. And that soft serve ice cream sat in my stomach for a day. I had a rock in my stomach. Of course, soft serve ice cream is nothing but chemistry, but my body said, I don't like that. My body, when I went to New Orleans, it happened to me again. Everything was deep fat fried. If you've ever been to New Orleans, breaded and deep fat fried. I got red splotches all over my body. I would try to order healthy things, and it would come with something fried in it. And I just couldn't believe it. My husband looks at me in the mirror in the bathroom. It's like, what's going on with you? They were all over my body. And I said, I don't know. They don't itch. Like, I'm not allergic to anything. They don't itch. I stopped eating completely. Like the last day, I ate nothing. It took us 2 days to drive home. They were almost gone by the time we got home. So next time I go to New Orleans, I'll plan ahead. So a new relationship with your body means your body is going to be able to communicate to you more, tell you things, and you'll be able to pay attention to them. Have you ever heard someone say, oh, I can't have a donut, it goes straight to my hips? When I weighed 300 pounds, I could eat a dozen donuts and you wouldn't notice. And so the idea that someone notices the effects on their body when they eat a donut, which I believe that's a little bit of hyperbole, but they say that. That is the kind of relationship I want with my body. If my body doesn't like something I did, I want to be aware of it. And you know how they say, you know it in your gut? Oh my gosh, that changes everything when you have a good relationship with your body. Your gut instincts are amazing. And I'm not only talking about your microbiome, but your microbiome is, in fact, half your mental health. So the idea that you're taking care of your gut by taking care of your body means that your relationship with your body becomes completely different.
Joe,
Also, go ahead.
we've even seen behavioral changes in young boys that are in residential juvenile detention settings. When we've taken them and improved their diet, their
Wow.
behavior has miraculously paralleled that evidence, showing up as new behavior, calmer, more at ease, less likely to be reactionary. Um, it's amazing, this triune brain that we're dealing with, that the stomach is part of the brain system. It really is.
Absolutely. I'm so glad. Thank you for confirming that, Mitzi. I didn't know about that observation. I've read studies like that, particularly with things like autism, but it really is amazing. In fact, there's a doctor who's written several books. They are on the reading list. His name is Perlmutter, and he talks about the microbiome and how it affects the mental health and the physical health. It's really amazing. We'll spend a little bit more time on that. And then the third cardinal goal is a new relationship with themselves. Um, this is really, oh, and I forgot to say, forgive me, the relationship with the body, when you're working with a diabetic, whether it's type 1 or type 2, um, the relationship with the body is critical because, first of all, diabetics who didn't expect to be diabetic feel like their body has betrayed them. Type 1 diabetics, and the difference between type 1 and type 2, in case you've forgotten, is that type 1, their pancreas is not functioning properly and not sufficiently, definitely not sufficiently, most often not at all, by the way. And this is why type 1 diabetics historically have been very thin. You cannot gain weight without insulin. And insulin comes from the pancreas. The reason type 1 diabetics now are gaining weight is their difficulty in managing their insulin. And according to the American Diabetes Association, oh, you can eat whatever you want as long as you take the right amount of insulin. But this is exceptionally difficult. Prior to injectable insulin, of course, we treated type 1 diabetics with a low carb diet because that was all we could do. And it worked, kept them alive longer. But the idea with a type 2 diabetic, the problem isn't their blood sugar, it's their hyperinsulinemia, and their blood sugar is high despite those chronically high levels of insulin. And what do? We give them more insulin. Catch that. In order to treat type 2 diabetes, we give them drugs that increase their insulin, maybe not directly, maybe indirectly, but they increase their insulin. So any medication that, and we'll talk about medications a little later, any medication that increases or has the potential for causing low blood sugar is increasing insulin. That's almost the entire panoply of medications for diabetes. Metformin hinders the gluconeogenesis, slows it down just a little bit. GLP-1 agonists make you feel full, so you're not eating as much. Again, eat less, exercise more. We are not talking about something that is a healthy alternative. So that's the body. New relationship with themselves, though, is amazing. Not only are they self-awareness, not only are they self-aware, are they amazingly apt to be, and not self-conscious, but self-aware. They understand their body, they're comfortable in their own skin, they're feeling more authentic in their lives. Is this not what most of our clients actually need? This is amazing stuff. And then when they indulge, they don't beat themselves up anymore. Oh, I messed up. If you've done weight loss with anyone and they've told you like, well, I made the mistake of buying a cake or and then I figured I messed up so bad I'll just eat the whole thing right now. And that I call that the effed up syndrome, But the idea is then they beat themselves up. They give into some craving, or there's some urge, and usually cravings are an away from motivation. Your NLP training, we'll get to that. But the idea is, oh, I messed up, I'm going to beat myself up for that, I'm no good. And we don't want that at all. That is completely self-destructive, absolutely self-destructive. I don't beat myself up. I ate those fried things. If you think I did not enjoy those things in New Orleans, for the most part, I didn't like them all, but for the most part, that was a rare divergence for me in my diet. And of course, who doesn't like, you know, fried crawdad? Did I say that? Um, but it's like, oh my gosh, of course I ate it. I enjoyed it. I didn't beat myself up for it. My body said, wait a minute, buddy. And that's really wonderful. All right. So why hypnosis? And you are going to see, if you're searching these things online, maybe on YouTube, you are going to see there are now 1,000 people out there doing diabetes reversal, insulin resistance reversal. They're coming out of the woodwork now because it works. Why are we better? Well, we're going to educate our clients, certainly. We're not just going to tell them what to do. We're going to educate them as to why they're doing it. That's number one. Number two, we can deal with all of those emotional things that they would have to deal with on their own in a traditional program. We know how to deal with cravings. Even if you use traditional methods, you'll think that chocolate tastes like liver and onions. It doesn't, and it won't forever, but it'll get them to eat less chocolate for a while, right? But at the end of the day, we're the right ones. We're going to educate them. We're going to coach them through it. Look, I've got to go to Thanksgiving dinner at my Aunt Emily's. How do I get through this? You can do that. You can help them with that. And then finally, at the end of it, hypnosis just makes the change so much easier. And there, in our training, you'll get a number of sessions. Again, on that page where I list the videos and everything, you'll also see transcripts. I'm not going to write scripts for you, but I will go and transcribe the hypnosis online, and you can have the transcript. You know, you create your own script, but you'll know what's in it. And then we're going to look at the mind-body triad, and not everybody understands this. I'm just going to check us for time. Okay, we're good. That there should have been a slide there, but let me see if it's down here. Nope. Okay. So I don't know what happened to that slide. Forgive me. I'll find it. But if we think of the mind, the brain, and the body. Now, as hypnotists, I don't know if you agree with me or not. You can tell me. Is the mind and the brain the same thing? Are they the same thing?
No, no, they're
Thank
not.
you. All right, Mitzi,
No,
thank you.
no,
How about you?
the brain is a structure. The mind are those things that are occurring within its field of awareness and
Right.
unawareness.
And unawareness, right. It doesn't have to be aware. How about you, Chrissy?
I would agree too. I wouldn't, because I think of the mind is, like you said, you said that it's structural and the mind is everything else that also makes you who you are, right? And yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. So you understand that the brain and the body have a relationship with one another
Of course, yeah.
that is automatic,
Mm-hmm.
right? So if I if I think, oh, she doesn't like me, I can have an emotional reaction to she doesn't like me, and I may also have an a physical reaction to she doesn't like me, unless I'm a psychopath, and I'm not. So the brain and the body have this physical relationship, and that physical relationship happens sometimes because it's nature, right? If you stick a knife in my leg, I'm going to feel pain, presumably. So that's a physical relationship, but it's also a learned relationship. So the brain and the body can relate, and this is when we're doing pain work. Very often we're playing on this, and it, by the way, not that I want to sell his training, but this guy who's doing the homunculus protocol for a whole day, he's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
He's amazing. I haven't paid for the training, but I'm thinking about it.
Mm.
Uh, You know, because he's
He's from my
doing.
hometown.
Is he? Are you in
Yes,
San Diego?
yes, yes, yes.
He's
Mm-hmm.
wonderful. I have another. There's another doctor who works in San Diego that if your clients need labs,
Uh-huh.
you can send them to him. He'll charge them, but he's
Uh-huh.
cash only. He doesn't do insurance anymore. In fact, the insurance company um, yelled at him for taking everybody off of their medication.
Oh, okay. Do you have his name or you
Yeah, his
or
name
I
is
could get what is it?
his name is Lenski, and there's a on my website. There's a his podcast um, is there, and you'll see me with talking to him about that.
Okay, I'll look for it later.
Yeah. So and then the mind, of course, is over on top of this. And when we're working with the mind, if you've ever heard someone say, "I need pizza," or "I need a donut," nobody ever needs a donut. Nobody. So it's like they're interpreting something. The mind perceives the entire universe based on its experiences and the perceptions of those experiences. So when we experience something, and this is, when I teach hypnosis, this is what I'm teaching. But so if I experience something, I'm going to, whether I'm a child, a teenager, or an adult, I am going to interpret that experience in a certain way. When I interpret that experience, it becomes a perception for me so that future experiences are tinted and colored by it. So, in order for me to change my future experiences, I've got to change the way I perceive things. And particularly, and I'm not a regressionist, but particularly, I've got to give up those perceptions that I've created through interpretation of experience. I've got to admit that I was wrong. Okay, so that's the mind body triad, and they can all affect one another, and we understand that. But most people, like, they'll say things like, if you go on a ketogenic diet, you'll lose weight. What if I said that that's not always true? And or if you go carnivore, you'll be healthy. What if I've said that? What if I say to you that's not always true? And when I said to you, there is no reason for you to eat a carbohydrate, did you understand that also as vegetables? because vegetables have carbohydrates?
Mhm, mhm.
No, that's not what I meant. So basically, if it's 100% carbohydrate, you don't have a need for it. But you do need what comes with some carbohydrates to feed your microbiome. So these things, these oversimplifications are just physical or brain body, but not mind. They don't deal with the mind. That's our strength. All right. So any questions so far? We doing good? It's easy, huh?
One
This is
question for
so,
you. You know
yeah.
that there's a medicine called it spells Tirpatide. Is that the same as Ozempic? Is that in the same family?
I don't know that brand name.
Okay,
Um, do me a favor,
okay,
email me, like you
okay.
got my email this morning.
Yes.
Email me and I'll look it up and we'll talk about it. But if it's Ozempic, what Ozempic is, and we'll talk about these again a little bit later, but just while it's on the mind, why not do it? Ozempic is called the GLP-1 agonist. And
Hmm.
what that does is it slows down your digestion, triggering leptin. It makes you eat less. And so when I say slow down your digestion, by the way, most people taking Ozempic or um, its ilk, GLP-1 agonists, usually go off of it within 2 years because the side effects are worse than being fat. And the side effects can include, not everybody, paralysis of the intestines, which means you're wearing a bag. You're pooping in a bag. And, these movie stars who are taking these medications to keep 10 pounds off their behind, um, honestly, honestly, wouldn't you rather have the 10 pounds than a bag?
Mhm.
So that if it's a GLP-1 agonist, if you just look it up, type it in, what does it do? If it says it's a GLP-1 agonist, they're the different brands are various strengths.
Uh-huh.
So it's just the stronger, the more effective, with air quotes around the word effective, but also the more dangerous. All right. So let's
Okay.
talk about the general guidelines. Like, what is this program going to look like? If you read those books, you would understand. If not, you're going to read them sooner or later.
Mhm. I've
Okay.
watched all your videos, the ones that you
Oh,
and
good. So you're right. You're right online with us. That's great.
I watch every one of them and I love, 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 love them. Thank you.
Oh, thank you for that. I cut out 2/3 of them, by the way,
Oh,
because I made it much more simple. And what I've done instead is offer. I can't make you do it, but offer your first couple of clients to walk through them with you, so that you're learning along the way, rather
yes,
than just dumping it all on you and saying go to it. Okay, so
yes.
um, and at the end of those two clients, you'll get a little certificate from me. You can take a picture of it and put it on your website. But,
Hmm.
but what does it mean, right? I'm an ICBCH trainer, so an IMDHA will recognize it, I'm sure. Anyway, ACE training, by the way, if you're a member of IMDHA, you put it down as your training, as your that's the International Medical and Dental, or IACT, is put it down. Anyway, so we're going to work through the dietary guidelines are fairly simple. The first is a gradual reduction of carbohydrates, and it is gradual. It seems dramatic, the first one, because we cut them in half. But the thing is, when they find out there are other things that they can eat that they think they're not allowed, like, you mean I can have bacon? Yes, you can have bacon. And, so it is a gradual reduction of carbohydrates. We don't want to move fast. And when we talk about the guiding principles, you'll understand why. We don't want to move fast. Don't let clients move ahead. We also want to incorporate intentional eating. You might remember this from the videos. Very simply, in a nutshell, everything on a plate, sit down and eat, no distractions, and basically tell yourself when you're going to eat every time you're going to eat. But always on a plate, always sit down. Be very intentional about it and without. And the reason we're doing that is we want to change the relationship with food. Everybody, everybody can reach into a bowl full of nuts, for example, and do this, pour them into their mouth and chew. But if you ate one at a time, it would be a different experience. My clients, they'll buy peanuts in the shell because they slow down the process. They'll pistachios in the shell. They'll buy whole walnuts and sit there and crack them because it slows down the process and it makes it an event. That's intentional eating. We are going to incorporate time restricted eating, which is what other people call intermittent fasting. But if you're doing it every day, how is it intermittent? So time restricted eating. And then later, when they are comfortable with the time restricted eating, we'll move into therapeutic, and I'm underlining the word therapeutic intermittent fasting. Now, a lot of times people think that fasting is for calories. It isn't. We fast to get our body to do something that is natural for our body when under the conditions of grazing, it does not normally get the chance to do that and may have not done it for years. For some clients, for decades, which is where, by the way, keto flu comes from. Part of it, anyway. All right. So we're also going to focus on whole, natural, real foods. So just as a simple example, an organic apple eaten whole is better than organic applesauce. Organic applesauce is better than organic juice. It's that simple. But we want whole, real food. If it comes in a box, a bag, or a package, chances are it's not a whole, real food. If it has an ingredients label and it says anything other than apples, organic apple, it's not a real food. Okay, so we're going to focus on whole foods. I just had one. I don't know if she's going to go for it. She said, I don't cook. And I said, all right. And you may have to compromise with clients. I looked at her and I said, okay, well, that's a problem for the program. But let's look at some of those, they'll send you 14 meals a week or something. Let's look at them and let's consider she could decide this is not worth the money. It is ultra processed anyway, or whatever. She can decide if she does it. She said she wanted to, but I think she's having second thoughts because she doesn't want to cook. All right. Anyway, but I was willing to compromise, and there will be compromises. So we're also, along with whole foods, we're going to minimize ultra processed foods. You're not going to eliminate them. You're just not. I have been experimenting with recipes for ketchup because ketchup, my husband is addicted to ketchup. And it's a trial. And it's all sugar. And like the second ingredient is sugar. No. So I think I've come up with one, but he's sick, so he can't taste it. And now we have to wait until it gets better. But we're going to minimize that. And the reason we're minimizing the ultra processed food is there are a number of things that will really muck up, and I'm using that word muck up, your microbiome. It will kill off healthy microbiome. It will encourage the ones that we don't want to win. There's all these cells in our gut, and we want to encourage the good ones, and we want a nice healthy balance. We're going to do that in a number of ways. Ultra processed foods and seed oils, the ones that are all called healthy, by the way, seed oils really muck up your microbiome. If your diet does not include fiber that is natural included with the food, look, there are fiber supplements, but they're not in their original package. The fiber in an apple evolved to make the apple edible. Taking apple fiber and mixing it in with wheat so that you have a higher fiber, lower carb content with net carbs is BS. All right. There are uses for dietary fiber, like psyllium husk, when you're trying to live without gluten, for example. But until then, let's just keep everything whole and natural. We are going to encourage them for moderate protein consumption. That usually means increasing it. The older they get, the more protein they need, because the more likely their body is going to, when it needs nutrition, it might consume protein. You've heard of like Ozempic face, right? Where their face is,
Oh, yeah.
it's like it's the jowls and the cheek muscles that aren't like, they go and they start atrophying and being consumed. This is the downside of autophagy. There is a downside. So we want moderate protein. We don't have to overdo it. We don't have to be carnivore only 100%. I have had clients who've chosen it. And if that's what they choose, that's what they choose. I warn them, let them know, but that's what they choose. But it usually means eating a little bit more protein. And then, of course, the natural healthy fats. And when I say healthy, you cannot think about the USDA. There is nothing unhealthy about good saturated fat. You need it, by the way. There is everything unhealthy with chemically extracted seed oils like corn oil or canola oil or soybean oil. And the layers of that are incredible. Like soybeans, not only is it a chemically extracted oil, it is also a GMO product that the body may not recognize, and it's treated with Roundup or something similar, and that's in there too. So what are you eating? If it's not organic, what are you eating? What are you putting into your body? All right. So now the guiding principles, and this is my favorite part. This is my favorite part. I want you to know that normal doesn't exist. There is no such thing as normal. And everything that your doctor recommends to you is based on, when you were in school, there was a thing called a bell curve. Do you remember those? Where the grades were on a bell curve, and pass or fail would move up and down based on the average, right? And they would cut off the ends. They would literally cut off. There's always that one kid that gets 118% and messes up the curve. So the teacher would cut that off. So when the doctor says to you, your blood pressure is high. Oops. Okay. So you know what? I'm going to stop this. We'll come back to this screen. I'm going to stop now simply because it's 50 minutes and I want to turn the thing off. Let's take a 5 to 10 minute break and we'll be back in a few minutes. All right?
Okay.
If you have to
Great.
run to the
Sounds
loo,
good.
run to the loo.
Okay.
All right. Thanks.